Welcome to another episode of TeeVo and the Beard. As you can not see, I am the Beard, and TeeVo is in another location right now. Because of Cinco de Mayo, we kind of got separated. Either that, or one of us is trapped in a parallel dimension. Guess we'll have to wait until next week to find out that. So we decided to kind of split our duties this week. He is going to, of course, talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because that is his bread and butter. That's where he lives. He is deep in the Marvel Kool-Aid, as we all know. And I was planning on talking about Supergirl. There's really not too much to say, though, because Supergirl has kind of fallen into not really a slump, but their story has definitely slowed down a bit. We've discussed that this is very possibly because of the break that they had where Legends of Tomorrow took over their time slot, and so from February to April, we didn't have any Supergirl. And this is the filler stuff that would have been taking place during that time. So when it came back, at least I kind of expected it to come back, hit the ground running, and it hasn't really done that. So it's either that, it's hit a slump, or I'm getting a little superheroed out, which is definitely a good theory. If you've listened to our Infinity War review, you'll hear that I had some problems with that, and I don't know if it was legitimate problems or if it was ones just based on the repetitiveness that I kind of see in a lot of these superhero shows. S.H.I.E.L.D. not included, of course. So instead, I decided I'm gonna talk about a Netflix show that I watched called Legend of Monkey. Or The New Legends of Monkey, excuse me. The New Legends of Monkey is a television show inspired by Monkey, which was a Japanese production from the 1970s and 80s that had a bit of a cult following in places like New Zealand, Australia, UK, and South Africa, where they had they had a British dub version. The Japanese production was set in 16th century China and was based on the novel Journey to the West, which I've been familiar with a lot of my life. I've always enjoyed the story of the Monkey King and the mischief that he gets into, and how in the end he can turn out to be kind of a good guy, even if he is misunderstood. So this show, though, even though it's on Netflix, the entire first season is on Netflix, all 10 episodes. One thing I'm not a fan about Netflix is their quote-unquote Netflix originals. They seem to have a lot of these, and some of them are legit, like Glow, which is coming back in a couple months, and I can't wait to see that and talk about it. But then some things like Black Mirror and like New Legends of Monkey is stuff that's more of a co-production, and I feel that it's getting marketed as a pure Netflix original thing, which it's not. This is a co-production between an Australian group called ABC, which I believe is Australian Broadcasting Company, and a New Zealand TV station. So what they did was Netflix put it all out at once, of course, and ABC and TVNZ put it out the first first 3 episodes on one time, and then they kind of showed it like a mini series throughout the week, which is kind of how I watched it too. I forced myself to not binge through all 10 episodes at one night like I did with Glow the first time, because this is also 30-minute episodes. What I like about this show is that it takes the story of the Monkey King, and it doesn't really flip it on its head, but it takes some liberties with it, and it does it very well, because you still have the Monkey King, and he is very not mischievous, might not be the right word. he does what's good for him a lot of the times, and sometimes that benefits the greater good. Sometimes it just benefits him. But he's been trapped in a stone for 500 years, and he's trying to learn his powers. So he has to take the help of a monk called Tripitaka. And what they do in this version with Tripitaka is definitely unique from the original. This is not the typical warrior monk who's been training all his life to help out the Monkey King and all that. In fact, to give a little bit of a spoiler, Tripitaka is not a he at all. So Tripitaka is a female who ends up, through circumstances that I won't spoil, disguising herself as a monk and takes on the name Tripitaka and goes on this adventure. So, of course, they also team up with Pigsy and Sandy. Now, Sandy might not sound familiar to anybody who's read Journey to the West or any of the Monkey King tales, because that is definitely an English, an English name. The original name, I'm going to try not to butcher here, is Sha Wu Jing. And I'm sure that I'm mispronouncing that, and I more than welcome any corrections on that. So this version, though, the original version, I should say, was a Buddhist man who followed the Monkey King. And in this version, of course, we have another gender swap. Sandy is now a female, and who has really great hair. I'm just gonna put that out there. And she's more the heart of the group, I would say. So you have Monkey, who's the lead, Tripitaka, who's the rudder, because she has to make sure that what they're searching for is tablet. Do they call them tablets in the show? The scrolls. So they're searching for the 7 scrolls so they can bring peace back to the world, because since Monkey's been gone, their demons have come out everywhere. So Monkey's the leader, Tripitaka's the rudder that makes sure everything stays on course. We have Pigsy, who's the bronze. He's the kind of big guy, very funny. He's definitely the comedy in this show. I'm not sure. I kind of feel that he is the Australian or New Zealand. I'm not sure where the actor is from. The actor's name is Josh Thompson, but he's not the fighter Josh Thompson. So I believe this guy is actually from New Zealand, the one in the show. And so I kind of see him as the New Zealand Jack Black. He kind of has that sort of comedy and sort of stance to him. If you're not a fan of Jack Black, disregard what I said, though, because this guy is hilarious. He does subtle humor, he does a little slapstick, a little bit of everything. But he's definitely the funniest part of the show. Sandy, though, to get back to her, is the heart. She's the one that makes you actually care about what's going on, makes you actually care about the characters, because she can see beyond what they see. And whether this is a godlike quality that she has, or if it's just the type of person that she is, it really helps with the show. I highly recommend it. It's family friendly, 100%. Little Beard hasn't watched it yet, but that's just because of timing and all that. They do fight demons. The demons aren't really scary. There's a couple times that, I wouldn't let a 1-year-old watch this, but Little Beard's 5 now, so I think she can handle it. Any of the fight scenes are very well choreographed, but at the same time, as an adult, I can tell they're choreographed fight scenes. There may be a couple times where you can tell people are not actually getting hit. And normally when they defeat a demon, it just poofs into smoke. So there's no blood, there's no gore, or anything like that. 100% family friendly. And I would kind of, again, to give it a positive to attribute it to something positive that not everybody might agree on. When I first watched it, I was telling a friend of mine that if Xena or Hercules was made in 2018, this is what it would look like. And I mean that with 100% respect as a great thing. I love both those shows, still do. They don't hold up as well now. And maybe in 30 years, New Legends of Monkey won't hold up as well as it does now. But yeah, just from the special effects and all that, there's very few times where you feel like they're in front of a green screen or something. There's a lot of practical effects and things like that. And yeah, it's just a really great watch. So if you need a break from superheroes, kind of like I did, it's definitely a good thing to add to your Netflix queue because it has superhero type qualities to it. I mean, you have this group of people with extraordinary powers, and it's good versus evil. You know that good is going to end up winning, but with this one, it's about the journey. It's about seeing, okay, well, how do they get through this, and what happens when the group finds out that Tripitaka is a female, which having the omniscience of the viewer, it's very easy for us to tell that she's a she. So it's kind of amusing that they can't tell. But it's worth watching. You can binge it all at one time and basically treat it like a movie. I like the way that it ends because the season finale, which I hope is just a season finale, I hope it's coming back for a second season. It ends in a way where they can make a season 2 very easily, or they could just leave it at that, and you just kind of have to do with it in your mind what you will. So it's not really a hard close, but it's not something they have to continue with, and I only want them to continue with it if it's something they can keep doing as well as they did the first season. So that's about all I got to say about it. I'm going to turn things over to TeeVo. I'm sure that he's got a lot to say about this episode of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we'll see you then.
And we are in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. section of this podcast this week. You'll notice that there is no beard with me. Maybe Thanos has done his deed. Does it seem fair? I don't know. Well, I think you may know my opinion, but we'll leave it at that. But speaking of Thanos, how about that name drop on this week's episode? I can see why last week you didn't want to have a real Infinity War tie-in. Being that it came out that day, you gotta give some people, some leeway to see it. But this was the one episode that I wanted to tie in because, as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has done really well you know what? Scratch that. They've done really well in movies that really affect the outcome of the show. I mean, we all remember how Winter Soldier affected the show. You disassemble S.H.I.E.L.D., and you have a show called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're bound to intersect. It was something that I was a little disappointed in when I was still believing that the it's all connected thing. So when Age of Ultron happened, I was like, oh, well, clearly they're going to be involved. No. And then as Civil War happened, no. But you gotta think, once Infinity War happened, you gotta think that they were going to be somewhat involved. And, well, I think this was one of the better connections to the movie universe we've had in a while. When Talbot, who had never actually said the name Graviton, so we'll see next week, now that he's adopted this overlord superhero type attitude, suit, haircut, shave, and everything. We'll see if he names himself. But when, for all purposes, we're going to call him Graviton. When Graviton was meeting with the Confederacy, they name-dropped hard. They said, hey, this danger, the one that we were very cagey about mentioning earlier, well, this danger, oh yeah, Thanos is coming. Yeah, Thanos has already started. Plain plain as day they said that. So that was something really nice. Just for someone who started watching this show because I wanted like more supplemental material to the movie universe, because when the show first came out, it was during times where Marvel really only posts, they only put out one movie a year. I mean, we're getting spoiled these days that there are at least two movies out every year. But when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out, it was the fall after Iron Man 3, and we only had Thor: The Dark World to look forward to. But it was just when they did the tagline, it's all connected. So I just wanted more things to the movies, because obviously they were gonna have a movie every week, so a show was the next best thing. And at that time, whether now I've come to love the show as its own entity, but as we've said in the show many times, the Marvel TV universe is kind of like the cousin or even second cousins to the movie universe. Yeah, you're connected, but at the same time, they don't acknowledge each other as you would like. But in this case, being that Infinity War did have a very apocalyptic type event, you gotta think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will address that. And they did tonight, and it looks like they will continue to address it at least the next couple episodes, because Graviton's mission now is to battle Thanos, but in order to do that, he needs more Gravitonia. And something that old man Coulson isn't a fan of him doing. And why I use the term Overlord superhero type moniker is because while he's donning the clothes, he's walking the walk, talking the talk, but his demeanor is not exactly the Boy Scout type, superhero we're used to. He is wanting to get things done. And how he gets it done, well, if you stand in his way, he is not going to be shy about, doing some pretty nasty things. I.e., R.I.P. Hale. Good run. I've said this many times over the course of the season as we gotten to know Hale. I really enjoy how she's not the typical Hydra agent or Hydra villain that came before in any medium, whether it be the movies or past seasons. So it was a nice breath of fresh air to see just different sides of Hydra. As we've seen different types of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, we've only had like the one type of Hydra. So she represented something different, and that was nice to see. So R.I.P. Hale. Gotta say, it's one of those, how would I like to die? How Hale died or like Ruby died? Because both seem pretty gruesome. Maybe that'll be a poll one day. Let's see, what is another stray thought? I really enjoyed. We got some hero on hero fight. So we got Overlord superheroes. We got sad sad deaths to Hydra agents. We have Shield agents fighting each other. Inhuman Shield agents fighting each other. So we got a little one-on-one brawl with Yo-Yo and Quake. It's pretty nice to see them using their powers against each other. And I gotta really give it to Chloe Bennett. I don't know, it's because I've been rewatching the show. So right now in my rewatching, I am just about in the episode that reveals Ward as Hydra, and Hydra's been hiding, but now they're back. Hydra's all over the place, and it's been kind of weird, kind of really off-putting, especially to be watching season 1 over again in these past couple weeks or so, and then I jump to a new episode every Friday, and it's like, you are so not even the same people. You're not even, this almost is the same show. And I guess I just take notice on Chloe Bennett just so much, because her character, while Fitzsimmons has gone through some stuff. They've seen some things, and they are so not the same people. But from going from Sky to Quake, and then Runaway Quake, and it's just what she's done with the character, what the writers have done with the character is just really amazing. And to see her in this tonight's episode in this very one-minded thing, she is back. She is going to get Coulson, and that's you're not changing her mind. She might as well be that meme of that guy sitting on the table. Coulson's going to live. Change my mind. And nobody seems to do so because she is back with the body of her decrepit mother, no skin, and she has the centipede piece. And it's up to Simmons to make it safe for Coulson to have so he can stay alive. Whether that's an ethical thing they have brought up, well, Quake ain't here to she's not gonna have any of that. Another thing is, what is Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Even though when you get serious, there is time for, some light humor. And thankfully our good fella Deke is here with that. We finally get to see him spend some nice time with his old grandpa, Mr. Bobo there. And didn't get a high five though, and also missed a big Q on the lemons, because Daisy came back to her bunk and found lots of lemons, which for Deke that is such a sincere thing. But she thought it was a big prank, and he didn't really feel like getting embarrassed. So he's like, oh yeah, that's that Fitz guy, I suppose. And yep. Oh. Big reveal for Quake that Deke is the grandchildren of Fitzsimmons, so that cat's out of the food sack, as he would say. Other than that, it was a pretty action-packed episode, I thought. I really enjoyed just the pacing of it. We're getting to, this was the third episode from the season finale, potential series finale. So things have really got to move on. They don't have time to, introduce a lot of new things. It's getting crunch time. And next week is the penultimate episode, so it's starting to become more clear the vision they had for the whole season. And that vision, as we saw in the preview for next week, everything is coming to fruition. We saw that the Zephyr had the artificial gravity from somewhat remainder of gravitonium they had. It was very much echoed the gravitonium chambers in the lighthouse when they went to the future. We have introduced a Kree character who is from the House of Cassius. We haven't heard that name in a while, so there you go. And Daisy is on the ship, and she looks like she's potentially going to fulfill the Destroyer Worlds thing. So, all that work they tried to do, oh boy. But, as Future Yo said, there is going to be one moment where they have to make a hard call, and that will be to let Coulson die. And in true teaser fashion, we see Coulson on the ground, spewing up blood. What's going to happen? Don't know. We're going to find out next week. And other than that, that's really just the main takeaways. I was just really, really glad that they just mentioned something like Infinity War, that these aliens, they're all knowing, they know what's coming, whether they can help or not, which spoiler, they can't. They just wanted our gravitonium, and the classic, oh yeah, we'll help you, get us this and we'll help you. We got it, all right, bail. So that was something. But yeah, I was just really glad that they mentioned something like Infinity War, which makes, I think it was said before, just the notion that, maybe they knew the order of episodes they were going to air. And this seems like, while last week was just teasing, just in case, which, for a good amount of people, they haven't watched it, or they were watching at the moment, so they didn't have time. It's like, big, $400 million budget movie, hour-long TV show. We're going to go see the movie. And then, for those who actually watch the show, we'll come back and watch it later. So, I can see why last week the events of Infinity War were simply just one line. Now it's a whole driving point to Graviton Talbot's purpose now. So I like to see what happens with it next. We're going to see him reunite with his son, so that's going to be a nice moment. How nice it's going to be after or before, we don't know, because he is totally drinking his own Kool-Aid. But if there's anything else I didn't talk about, well, maybe once Thanos has unsnapped his fingers and the Beard is able to join from wherever he is, or if I was absent in the first half, maybe I'm trapped in the Soul Stone and I'm giving you this message from the great Dusty Beyond. I don't know, but until then.